Hello, comic fans, and welcome back to this week's poll here on Comic Relief Cast. I am your host, Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey, Jake, I got a quick question for you.
Is it lazy?
Yeah, it's lazy.
Right.
What are we reading?
I thought maybe we could just skip to that. All right, guys. Well, as you can see, you've clicked on the Marvel segment for this week, and then on this episode, we're going over Next Gen, Age of X-Man #1, Captain Marvel #2, Star Wars Age of Republic, Count Dooku #1, Winter Soldier #3, Savage Sword of Conan #1, Thor #10, Marvel's Annotated #1, and Avengers No Road Home #1. And we're going to get right into it because I don't feel like asking Josh how his week's been. No one cares about how my week's been. Let's just do this thing.
Nobody cares about us.
No one cares. All right, getting into Next Gen by Ed Brisson, Marcus Toe, and Jason Keith. This is in keeping with the rest of the Age of X-Man stuff, like the Age of X-Man Alpha, Marvelous X-Men, that kind of stuff. It's like the not post-apocalyptic, I want to say like a post-utopian world for the mutants that really has nothing to do with the rest of the Marvel Universe. It's just kind of the X-Men. They've created this kind of utopia where everyone lives together, gets along. There's no love. There's no real relationships. Everyone's kind of assigned to a different job. And this one's kind of focusing on the young kids who are kind of their first years in this school that Warren Worthington or Angel has put together. And things aren't as great as they seem. But if you've read the last two issues of the other Age of X-Man stuff, you guys kind of know there's this air of looming doom over everything. And in this one, there's just kind of adding to this. I honestly don't really know why they're doing the other two, like why it's #1. This all seems like it could just be issues 1, 2, and 3.
It just feels like it could just be one big prelude. Like they all as a matter of fact, even like there's scenes that happen in this, like there's a scene that happens in this that you kind of almost get a glimpse of in one of the other titles. I want to say it is Marvelous X-Men, but yeah, for the most part, it's all pretty much the same kind of thing. We get the only thing that's different is we're following different characters,
right? But it's all happening within the same space.
It's all the characters having the same conflict.
Yeah, and it's all like I said, it's all happening within the same space. You know, like I said, each issue could just be devoted to a different aspect of this new world, or this like a different kind of team. But it can be issues 1, 2, and 3. I really don't see the need to be spinning off any of these into 5-issue mini arcs.
So what I'm hearing is that the issue is not bad. But the problem is that they're splitting this off into so many different miniseries.
Man,
I feel like this has become like a weekly thing.
No, I think this is the first time we've said that, actually.
I feel like this is like the third time we said this.
But yeah, I am a little annoyed that they just keep spinning out these #1s, and they're all going to be carrying their own little 5-issue thing, when all this, I feel like, can be just condensed into an ongoing thing all on its own. Each issue just kind of focusing on a different team or a different aspect of this new utopian world they've built for themselves, because I really think that to understand this issue, you do need to have picked up the past 2 issues. And I think, you know, Alpha you need to read, Marvel's X-Men you need to read, and this one you need to read, all to kind of get like the full scope. But again, it's just that problem of, we're going to put 5 different things out, each having their own 5 issues, when you can just do this in one. And it's a lot like Uncanny X-Men had 3 different stories going from 3 different writers. And for that, I'm going to detract the grade, but I'm actually going to let you unveil this week's grade since you came up with it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give this one 2 Marvels.
Yeah, Marvels. That's just lazy writing.
Yeah, it's lazy writing, but it's also what would you say, honoring of Marvel's
Annotated? Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and give this one 2.3 Marvels because it's not terrible, and I like the idea. It just reeks of
There's nothing
corporate.
really bad about the book. The pencils are great. The story's fine. It's just the fact that just knowing that you're going to have to pick up 5, or you're going to have to pick up like 6 different titles that are 5 issues long.
Yeah, I'm refusing to let the wool. I'm refusing to let the wool be pulled over my eyes here. You know, I know what they're doing, and it does annoy me.
You're not going to let the man take you down.
No, not at all. I'm going to let them know I'm in on their schemes.
And while we're talking on man hating.
Yeah, moving on to Captain Marvel #2 by Kelly Thompson and Carmen Cornero, Tamara Bonavillain. So it's a mostly female team on Captain Marvel #2, and it picks up right after Captain Marvel #1, where she's taken on, I think they called him Nuclear Man, which
it's Nuclear Man,
which reeks of Superman 4. Anybody? Quest for Peace.
It's a character that was a Fantastic Four villain.
I know, but he was named something else at the time. But anyway, they go into they rip in that hole in time where the other Avengers can't follow her, and that she's taking it on, and she finds out there's a post-apocalyptic dystopian future. You know, it's a complete flip from X-Men Alpha stuff, and what do you know? There are no men. It's just women, and they don't know what's going on with the men. And the one man that's in this, they're not sure they can trust.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't really come out and say that this is like a man-hating
And here's
book.
the thing, and we don't know that for a fact.
No.
This could really like go somewhere else. Kelly Thompson usually doesn't write with that. She writes very strong female characters and giving a very prominent roles for females, which
she's
is
good
fantastic.
at writing all of these
but
characters.
she never really goes real hardcore of like going like man-hating. And it seems like it could go that way, but also at the same time, it could go some other directions. I can still see.
Yeah, this issue does seem like it's leaning towards that, and what I'm thinking is maybe this is Kelly Thompson's outlet to like get her frustrations of men out, because the rest of her books are actually pretty damn good.
I love Kelly Thompson.
But this book is just, it's not really revving my engine, and it's honestly, it just reeks of like editorial notes and corporate demands, like, hey, we want this, we want a strong female character who doesn't need no man to help her out, and so, you know, put her with other strong female characters to kind of, you know, prop her up, and, you know, at the very end of the book, you bring in a new character, and honestly, actually, it doesn't bring in a new character, but into the fold of this book, another character comes in, and I go, oh, this kind of tells me where Carol Danvers sees herself on the power set level, but then, you know, it let out very quickly on that.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion on this book, I feel like it's exactly like the way I felt about the first issue. It's not bad, but it's not fantastic.
I'd even hesitate to call it good. To be honest, it's middling.
Mediocre.
It's
I
middling.
find it to be mediocre. I could see there is few people that would like this book.
Sure. I'm gonna give it just over half, 2.55 Marvels.
2.55 Marvels.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm at 2.5 Marvels.
Okay,
They're
not far off.
But yeah.
All right, moving on to Star Wars: Age of Republic, Count Dooku, #1 by Jody Hauser and Luke Ross, not to be confused with Alex Ross, as you tried to do earlier today when we were unboxing all the new books. Basically, it's just following Count Dooku, just kind of like all the other one-shots. And actually, what I do like is it kind of gives a little bit more light on Count Dooku and how he's kind of a civilized gentleman. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's part of the Sith, but he's still a gentleman. Yeah, he's kind of charming. You don't really get that in the Attack of the Clones movie, but he is kind of a charming character in this book, and it lets you know that he kind of comes from the old days of the Jedi, and he kind of still has that honor about him, but you know, he shows his true colors by the end of this book. But I actually like it, and it kind of gives a little backstory on Dooku, not like flashback stuff, but just through dialogue and him speaking, you kind of go, oh, you know, I get a little idea of where he came from, his family, his upbringing. It's kind of interesting, and that kind of information for me is always kind of cool to know for characters like this. I'm going to give this book 2.8 Marvels.
Huh. I read Winter Soldier #3 by Kyle Higgins and Rob Reis. R-E-I-S, right? Okay. This kind of follows follows right after issue 2, where Bucky has taken RJ, who is a character that's very similar to him, at a younger age, and taking him under his wing and kind of trying to help him clear out the error of his ways from Hydra, kind of and being brainwashed and whatnot.
Yes, undo the brainwashing.
Yeah, undo the brainwashing, as we could say. I'm really digging this Winter Soldier run. I have this one problem that's been kind of like riding on top of this, and that is that this Bucky is it's too lighthearted. I like Bucky being kind of dark and a little brooding and stuff. And it seems like they could be kind of tiptoeing around to why that is, that he seems so lighthearted. But I really dig it. The pencils are good in it. The story is so far is great. I like RJ. I think he's a cool character. Bucky's really cool in this. Tony makes multiple appearances, and it's based in Indiana. And me being a Hoosier, I like that. So I give this book 2.85 Marvels.
Is this one gonna go up in price like issue 2?
Nah.
All right, moving on to Savage Sword of Conan by Jerry Duggan and Ron Garney. And it's kind of a weird thing that Marvel's gonna put out two different Conan books, you know, side by side with each other. And this one's gonna be a 12-issue run as well. In this one, it's a little bit more just kind of testosterone-fueled Conan. You don't really get to know him. There's not a whole lot of introspection on the character. He's not really giving you any internal monologuing or anything like that. It's just him being a badass, gets caught on a ship with a bunch of pirates, which kind of jarred me for a second because I go, okay, wait, what time period is this then? Because I don't know. I guess I never associated Conan the Barbarian in the same time period as like Jack Sparrow the pirate. You know, I always kind of assumed they were separated by a good amount of time, but you know, whatever. I can get over that pretty quickly. But I will say that this book, to me, is not nearly as good as what I'm reading from Jason Aaron. I'm loving what Jason Aaron's doing with the character. The pencils are also not as good, in my opinion, as Mohamed Asrar, who I really like on the Jason Aaron book. But this one's serviceable, and it's got a great Alex Ross cover. But this is just kind of more your run-of-the-mill sword and sandals, kind of just gory, badass version of Conan.
I think it's good. The Jason Aaron run does feel a little bit more well planned out. This one does just feel like it's a testosterone ride. I actually enjoy the pencils in this. I think that they're...
No, I'm not saying I don't like them. I just prefer the one in Jason Aaron's run by Asrar.
I think that... And then the end has this really cool thing that happens at the end. It makes me kind of wonder, you know, where is this Conan going to be going?
Yeah, well, he's following his destiny, as we hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's most people on Adventures. But yeah, it has a great Alex Ross cover. The pencils are good in it, and if you are digging Conan, you know, and I think that with some people is when you pick up a book and you don't know a whole lot about a character, the one thing you want to do is read more about that character, and this would be another good book. If you're somebody who's new to Conan and you want to read more Conan, that's, you know, something more modern, then there you go.
The way I like in this is, like, if Jason Aaron's Conan is like the MCU, then this book is a little bit more like, oh, okay, I want more of this, but I've seen all the movies and I want some new material, and you want to kind of stay within that universe. You're like, I'll check out some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm not saying it's as bad as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because let's be honest, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not a good show, but it's kind of like that. It's kind of like the little brother, but it's still supplementary reading material, and it is fine. But if I had to pick between one or the other, which a lot of people do because your wallet demands you kind of be selective with comic books, you can't just go grab everything off the shelves, I would say, personally, I'd stick with the Jason Aaron run over the Jerry Duggan one.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's something that's going to be big that comes out of the Savage Sword, I think that if you just want to pick up another Conan title, there you go.
Well, there's going to be that other one, too, about the woman. I think her name is Belite or something.
Yeah, but I think it's only supposed to be a couple issues.
Yeah, but I think it's spinning out of Savage Sword of Conan.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, I'm going to give this one 2.95 Marvels.
Actually, a 2.95 as well.
All right, moving on to Thor issue 10 by Jason Aaron and Mike Del Mundo. And as you guys have been listening, you know I'm a huge fan of this Thor run. I'm a huge fan of Jason Aaron on Thor. I'm actually a huge fan of just Jason Aaron in general.
Huge Jason Aaron fan. Let's be honest.
I'm a big fan. But also, I know this book's been getting a lot of flack because of Mike Del Mundo's art. And in a couple issues, I can see it. But in this one, he really cleans it up. It's really done. It's done very well. It looks great. This is one of the books this is one of my favorite books so far this week because this one's all about, it's a very personal struggle between Thor and Odin, and they're kind of they're going at it, they're butting heads, and there's a literal just all-out fight between the two where they're knocking the shit out of each other, and it's actually pretty awesome to read. But if you guys are, you know, normal humans, you've probably disagreed with your parents a time or two, and I know for me and my dad have really gotten heated a few times. So with that, I can really relate to this book and go, yeah, I've been there, Thor. I wanted to, like, knock my dad on his ass a couple times. I love him to death. And then there's also some really good stuff from Odin, things he won't say out loud to Thor, but you get to know a little bit more about Odin. I think that's a great thing from Jason Aaron.
Yeah, it's definitely a good piece on the bond between a father and son. With that being said, it's probably one of my favorite issues so far of this new refresh of Jason
Marvel
Aaron's.
refresh. Yeah,
I don't want to say Jason Aaron's Thor because it's so big and vast.
It's expansive.
Yeah. But this newest run, yes, it's probably one of my favorite issues. It's very touching. Granted, I'm going to be a little biased today because today's my dad's birthday. It makes me think about my dad.
Happy birthday, Mr. Josh.
Mr. Josh, happy birthday. Yeah. And, it was very touching. And also with the whole Del Mundo thing is I understand where people are coming with the art-wise because there was a couple of issues early on.
Yeah, it was kind of sloppy.
Like with the monster truck and stuff, it kind of felt sloppy. But this one is where he is doing his best work.
Yeah, he really tightened it up.
Like, there's some good splash pages in this and some panel work that's really fantastic.
Yeah, and I love it. I love that this series just kind of took a few moments to just put the brakes on the War of the Realms stuff that's coming and just focus a little bit on Thor and Odin and how they are getting along, where they're at in their relationship before the big war. You know, I think a little bit of downtime like this, a little calm before the storm, is a smart thing to do, and I really appreciated Jason Aaron doing that on this book.
It's a good filler issue, definitely, and it's a good issue. Like if you're just randomly wanting to pick up a Thor issue without having to like go follow too much context of like a storyline, it'd be a great one to pick up.
I absolutely agree. So I'm going to give this issue 3.7 Marvels. I really enjoyed this one.
3.7?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm at 3.75, but...
Okay. Oh, man. Damn it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a little bit high. No, I'm surprised that I was actually just a little bit higher than you on that one.
All right, moving on to Marvel's Annotated, number 1 of 4, issue 0, written by Alex Ross and Steve Darnell, done by Alex Ross. Issue 1, written by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross on the art. And what this is fucking awesome. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. This thing is just too cool.
Language.
Did he really just say language? What this basically is, it's a reprint of what the Marvels books that Alex Ross has put out. I think they say in the book back in the 90s, right?
It was like I can't remember what year exactly. But
yeah, well, it was about 20 some years ago,
yeah.
right? And so they're reprinting this, and I'll tell you what, man, his Alex Ross's art still holds up. I can't believe he was putting this stuff out 20 years ago. But what it is it's what I liken it to is if you guys have been reading X-Men Grand Design, this is kind of that, but for early timely comics before it was Marvel Comics. The Human Torch character, the Namor character, a little bit even with the Captain America character. There is just so much to unpack out of this book that I think honestly we could have done an entire review episode for just this book.
Oh yeah, totally.
But Josh, you want to say some stuff?
Yeah. So this pretty much just like what it does is follows and explains the history of certain famous timely / Marvel comic characters, and they tell you these stories through the eyes of a civilian that's coming apart and seeing this stuff at the time period that these characters, these comics were being released in. It's
so
beautiful.
1938, 39, 1940. Yeah. That's kind of the time period you're here.
Yeah, and so it makes it, and it's also very nice to see this done in Alex Ross's artwork, which I feel, at least here in our shop, is very unappreciated. It's very underrated. But you see it through like this guy's eyes, but you're also watching it through these beautiful paintings of Alex Ross. And the story is written really fun and it's wise. And then there's tons of Easter eggs. Oh, yeah. Tons of Easter eggs throughout this whole thing. And with this book, yes, it is a reprint. But I feel like the book itself has always been a somewhat underrated book. It should be up there in the same ranks with Alex Ross work-wise. It should be in the same rank as you would say Kingdom Come. Yeah. A lot of people always go Alex Ross, Kingdom Come. Marvel should be up there too. Yeah, or Justice. And this should be up there too. A lot of people forget about this, and I'm glad that they're reprinting this. And then they're reprinting this, and not just like, to go make you want to go, oh, well, I should just get the regular issues. This is so much better than the regular issues because you get so much more in there. There's all kinds of little special features towards the back and tons of great variants. Yeah, and guys, I'd say this is for this episode. This is the must pick up because you don't have to be following anything else. This is not a continuation of another series. You can go into your shop, pick this up, not be lost, and you're going to get a lot of content for $7.99. Yeah, it seems like it's a steep book, but it's printed on some really nice hard cardstock, some really nice paper. I mean, it's Alex Ross for one. You're technically getting like 2 issues. Right, you're getting exactly. Plus, you're getting the full script of the book. You're getting, a complete. I wasn't there yet, but yes. Yeah, I know. I'm just like explaining all the stuff that you're getting in this book. I mean, you're getting articles, interviews. You're getting a full script. You're getting a works cited page. You're getting a page that explains all the Easter eggs. And the Easter eggs are just so much fun. Man, I was picking up on them left and right as I was reading it, and then to just kind of have those confirmed when I go to read the back. This book took me a long time to read because I had to read the back of this book once you get through everything. I mean, everything with just Alex Ross writing and Kurt Busiek writing and all the art, that's going to take you a while to read. But if you're really interested in delving a little bit deeper into this book and you're reading into the Easter eggs, I'll tell you what, Kevin Feige must have read this back in the 90s because this is where I feel like he got his inspiration for putting Easter eggs throughout the MCU. But this book just has so much to offer. This is an absolute must pick up. And what I think is really cool too, if you guys are familiar with some of the old timely comics books with Namor and the Human Torch on the covers, you actually see those recreated in panel form, but from the perspective of the protagonist, the guy that we're following through the story. And I think that was such a smart and cool way to do things. You get to see recreations of those panels in those books too. And, and so when I rate this book, I'm not just rating it on the reading content as far as just what's in the panels and what's being said in the dialogue. I got to rate it for the price point. I got to rate it for the script in the back, the works cited, the explanation from Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek on all the Easter eggs they put in this book, and of course Alex Ross
art on every single page and every single panel. I mean, this thing is the must pick up of this week, and I'm going to give this book 4.75 marbles. It is an incredible book for an incredible price.
I hate it when we're on the same page.
And I wasn't sure I'd be picking this book up, but after reading it, I am absolutely picking this book up.
4.75 marbles over here. It's fantastic. I mean, like, this is like everything that a comic book collector would want, I feel.
Absolutely. All right, and now we're going to go to the last issue for the episode. It's Avengers No Road Home by number 1 by Al Ewing, Jim Zub, Mark Waid, Paco Medina, Juan Velasco, and Jesus Bertov. I don't know. What this is, it's kind of a pseudo successor to Avengers No Surrender. But I also don't think, having read this book and having not actually read No Surrender, that you need to read. I don't think that's an essential read as of now, at least after having read issue 1. What this is there's a new threat, obviously, but it's not just of Earth. It's everywhere. It's on the Kree worlds, on the Skrull worlds, and you know, you've got this character coming in, Voyager, who's trying to recruit the Avengers to take care of this. And I'm going to say I'm a little biased because I'm a fan of Hercules and I love Greek mythology. And that is kind of a key player in this book. And so I was really enthralled reading it with that. But also, I got to say, whoever's writing some of these characters, they have these characters down really well. Obviously, Al Ewing is writing Hulk in this book. I don't know who's writing Vision or who's writing Hawkeye or Rocket or Hercules, but everybody just feels in character, and that's something that I think is very refreshing, because I don't think you get that all the time in Avengers books. You don't get what feels like unique voices to every character, but I think that's something that you can get with 3 different writers on this book.
I agree. In my personal opinion on the whole Avengers No Surrender, I think that the only reason why, unless something else happens, I think the only reason why you would need to read No Surrender before this is just to kind of have a better understanding who Voyager is. But they do a good job of just kind of giving a quick little like synopsis on who she is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think that's the best thing that saves this book for me, is that the how all the characters are written, their dialogue is very well. Hawkeye's written fantastic. Hercules is written fantastic. Scarlet Witch and Vision are written fantastic. Rocket, even though
Rocket's great.
Rocket's great, even though it's a little too like there's little jokes that they kind of use from the movies here and there. But you know, you're going to do that. It's what people know.
They even kind of sidestep them a little bit, and then just kind of allude to it. You feel like if you're familiar with the MCU, you feel like you know where this joke's going, but it never actually really goes there.
And so all the characters are written great. I'm kind of curious on where the story's going to go. But also, I mean, just Al Ewing, Immortal Hulk, I'm down for it no matter where it's placed in. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of The Best Defense, but that was the best part about it, and I don't regret reading The Best Defense, because I do get it was me getting to read more of Ewing's Hulk.
Right, and I got to say too, Paco Medina, his pencils in this book are also not to be understated. He does a really good job. This is a clean-looking book. Everyone looks really,
and you
really
also
good.
got a beautiful Yasmin Putri regular cover, along with like Adam Hughes variants.
Yeah, the variants for this book are spectacular as well. I think this book is, I'm gonna say, it's a pickup. It's one I would definitely recommend picking up. It's not maybe a must pick up, but for the batch of Marvel that we've read so far, it is something I would recommend picking up for this week. Granted, I still have a few issues I haven't read yet that I still plan on it, but for this review, this is the other book I would definitely recommend picking up with Marvel's Annotated and Thor.
Yeah, I would say out of all the Marvel books that I've read tonight, this is probably one of the better ones out of all of them.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite. I still got a lot more to read, but I will say that if you're going to pick up something, you're going to pick up Marvels, and you don't have a whole lot of Marvel that you want to pick up, this is definitely one I would pick up, and especially just because of Immortal Hulk. I love that character.
Yeah, so with that, I'm going to give Avengers No Road Home #1 3.6 Marvels. Good book.
That's at 3.75 Marvels.
Oh, so you put it right around on Thor level.
I do.
Okay.
I enjoyed it for a different reason.
Hey, completely understandable, completely fair. But all right, guys, that is all we've got for you this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you guys have made it with us this far, please don't be afraid to hit that like button or smash that thumbs down button if you don't like anything that we said. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts on any of the books that we went over today. Did we go over some that made you want to pick these books up? Did we go over some that make you not want to pick them up? Let us know. And also, later on in the week, if you guys want to, we can discuss the other books from Marvel that came out that we didn't go over. Also, share this with your comic book reading friends. And as always, guys, subscribe to the channel. Last week, we got a lot of new subscribers. I don't know exactly what happened, but really happy and grateful for it. And all you new listeners, thank you so much.
You're fantastic.
Take care.
Breathtaking.